Good morning, everybody. Alright, take two. This little thing I'm holding only runs for 10 minutes, so let's get into it. We may be living in the only dictatorship that wants to wipe certain people out without firing a single shot, or using a bomb or any kind of weapon. We may be living in a society where the government and the elitists, they want to wipe us out with our wallets, our food, our medical care system setup, and psychological warfare. We've seen it happen. Now, I'm not going to get into filthy habits or any of that crap. That's a whole nother video in of itself. But what I am going to get into is, well, let's start off with the election. Okay. We all know how people are so divided that they don't want to talk to each other anymore. And I'm just going to make it clear, I didn't vote for Trump, and that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. So enough about that. So let's get into the food. If you live outside the U.S., feel free to comment. In fact, I'd actually prefer people outside the U.S. to put their 2 cents in. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. I'll probably go into further detail on my Patreon. That's on my channel. But anyhow, let's continue. I still have time. We here in the U.S. seem to have allergic reactions and digestive disorders to so many different shit, like egg, dairy, soy. And the only two I grew up knowing about were peanut oil and shellfish. Anyhow, now whether it's the actual food or what's going into food, that's a whole nother subject in itself. Like, I never heard of this back in the days. And that ties into my next thing. The medical care in Big Farm. They want to pump out as much pills as they can to put people on, so people become like walking pharmacies. We shouldn't be having to prescribe 40 different pills for every little thing. Now, let me be clear. There are certain conditions, such as diabetes, epilepsy, Tourette's. I think the new one going around is EPI. That does require some medicine. You got no choice in the matter with those. But everything else, the rest of it is, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And how they're upselling, certain medical procedures. But nothing is guaranteed. Again, I'm not trying to go big on YouTube or whatever. If I do, great. If not, whatever. Anyhow, let's get into some more examples. We can't, people can't have a civil conversation, without shit going south. And I'm not going to get into mass shootings or any of that. Enough people do that already. That's a whole other video in of itself. But, again, this is one of the videos where I actually would like feedback from people who don't live in the U.S. Like, how does their medical system work? How do they treat their patients? How do they approach many medical conditions that can plague people, like the aforementioned diabetes, epilepsy, Tourette's, EPI, MS, I'll throw that in there as well, and other conditions. Let me know what you think. And please don't say just, we just eat this compound root. And the other thing, look at these vehicles. That's another way they want to kill us with our wallet. Videos, the expensive stuff, like rent. Case in point, my second vehicle, is in a storage lot, an empty fucking parking spot, 168 a month. I mean, come on, how the fuck do they justify that? So yes, we live in a very expensive country. I'm making X amount, but I'm still struggling living paycheck to paycheck. So make that shit make sense. And a lot of the materialization, commercialization of stuff. And I'm guilty as charged. I became a victim of lifestyle creep. Do I need 2 cars? No, but the way things are going now, when I'm in between jobs, I'll probably going back down to 1. And that becomes a decision: do I choose my car payment on my daily to stay in a cruise, or do I just say fuck it, let's stay in a cruise, go and keep the fucking tracker where I own that? Something's gonna have to give. Unless I get lucky and get a good job, something's got to give there. But anyhow, we got another rollie rolling around, so yeah, there's exceptions to the rule here. So anyhow, this is how they want to wipe out what they deem, as non-essential, without deportation, without firing a single shot, or dropping a bomb, or anything violent. It's financial, medical, nutritional, and psychological. The America that I know is gone. And obviously, student loan debt, which is a whole other topic in of itself here. I have that myself. I'm not trying to form out there saying, I'm not saying that I was a victim or any of that crap. Just to be clear. But unless the stars align and this shit goes viral and I reach 1 million subs, one can only dream, right? You know what I'm saying? But this is exactly what the politicians and the elites wanted. They want to break the weakest link of the chain. No, let me phrase that. They just want to remove it, so the rest of the chain only has the 3 links. The top tier people, because they have enough to where they can sustain themselves. It's the rest of us that they don't give a shit about. And this is true with corporations. We're not run by the people. We're run by corporations. And this is exactly what they wanted. And I think it's time, for the people here in the U.S., if you really want to fucking unite, get your fucking plane ticket, and just get the fuck up on out of here. Don't buy anything new. Fucking sell your shit and just fucking relocate elsewhere. Anyhow, that about does it for this video. I'll talk to you.